alignment. Now, just to get into alignment right away here, I mentioned this, I know yesterday when we met, intermediate target, huge, huge deal in golf, right? And so what we're gunning for here is we pick a spot that's in front of the ball in line with the flag or the target. And then after that, we get our feet parallel to that line, right? And so generally we select a grass blade or a leaf or something on the ground. Usually it's hard to tell. You've actually picked it yourself and you can kind of see it there. If there's leaves on the ground, it can be easier. And then we're trying to imagine this imaginary line from the ball through the intermediate target to make a straight line. And then we're using that imaginary line to then get our feet parallel left, or basically just parallel, toes and shoulders and hips all parallel also to the target line. And so the first thing we're gonna do today is let's just cover that so that we know this for when we get out on the golf course also. All right, so the best thing to do right away is generally using alignment sticks. So we're just gonna go over just getting everything parallel. And so if you would stand on this side here a moment. And so I just want you to see here that, so let me get one more stick here. Let's go like this. And then just stand like right over here, just so you're not blocking the camera, because there's a camera there that remember I'm recording for you. And so, okay, so this looks like my feet are parallel, right? And then the hips are supposed to be parallel, and then the shoulders are also supposed to be parallel, you see? And so this is basically where you're supposed to be. So to me, it looks like at your setup, it's subtle, but I think you're more here, right? Instead of there. Because see on the left-hand picture, do you see how it looks like I'm more like a silhouette? You don't see my left knee as much, right? And so that was kind of the dead giveaway, is that you're aiming too far to the right if that's this way. So if you would, just drop your club a moment. Let's just get up there, and could you do the same thing? Place the stick across your belt line and also your shoulders, and then get your toes parallel to the line. Golf setup is the guard position in basketball. Yeah, and then let's just make sure. Let me just see where you're at here. Okay, so it's the right hip is still back a little bit. So bring that's where your hip should be. Stay there a second. Yeah, so that's what it is. Okay, your feet look better. You can relax now, Henry. So what it was is you have a tendency for your right leg, the right hip, to be like open, basically, to turn to the right, basically. It is? When you do what? On the ground? Okay. And it's always out to the right? So if I lie flat on my stomach, then my right hip will be a little bit elevated. It's higher than the left? That's actually good for golf. Mine is also. My right hip's higher than my left hip, and it actually is great for golf. It's actually worse if your right hip's lower than your left hip for golf. So that's good. But what about the alignment? Because like what I'm saying is you're setting up and you're basically open. I see. Okay. Well, so then you'll just have to make a conscious effort to try to square everything up. I'll show you an example of that now. So if you would, you can put the sticks down a moment, and then just drop them over here on the ground, please. Or yeah, that's perfect. Okay. And if you would stand on this side. And so what some players will do, some practice this way, like Phil Mickelson did at the Masters. I'll show you in a moment, where if you have belt loops, you can actually put this through your loops, and then you could put sticks down like this just to check that everything is square. Now, if you're like this, see how, no, you're this way, excuse me. If you're like this, all you got to do is then just do kind of like basically a shift of your hips this way and this way, and then try to kind of neutralize, go too far right, too far left, and then try to find the center of where your hip should be. And it's really just a matter of trying to get everything squared up. And over the years, this is something I worked on a lot, just because it's so important to start from that neutral position. Because the problem is if your hips are this way, and your shoulders are that way, now things are not necessarily going to move in the ideal way. You with me? Okay, so now let's just do this. Let's have you get set up, because you don't have belt loops on, I don't think, do you? Oh, you do? Perfect.